What is up, YouTube? Third Impact here, bringing you a somewhat legitimate and authentic setup for anime reviews. Look at this room, it almost looks like I know what I'm talking about now. But, not quite, because there's still a giant blank spot above my head. But like I've said, it's Anime North this weekend. I'm going to be picking up tons of stuff, and I know all of this is going to be all rearranged, and I thought, why try to wedge something into this little area here? I'm just going to let it fall into place once I picked up my new stuff. But beyond all of that, you guys have read the title, seen the thumbnail, know what time of week it is. I don't know. Know that Jojo's the only thing I've been reviewing right now, but it's time for Jojo's Bizarre Adventure, Stardust Crusaders, Episode 7, titled Strength. And I know I've been pumping up this episode quite a bit, but I'm not going to apologize. I think that I did it in good reason. This episode was amazing. And like I said, it really has cemented how crazy the villains that they can be going up against are. If you didn't think like a flying bug was crazy enough, we have a stand user that isn't even human now. Which is pretty crazy. Before I get to the bulk of this episode, I just like to start with a quick scene at the beginning of the episode because we got to see Dio again. Dio was flexing. He really was flexing because you could see his abs, you could see his arm, and you know Dio. He is jacked as all hell, but much more jacked than we saw him in Phantom Blood. So that's one thing to note. I know it's the Jonathan Joestar's body, but he is a big fella. And we even saw his stand there, or at least a silhouette of it near the end, who was also huge, ripped, and extremely imposing. So we have quite a threat in the form of Dio. But what stood out to me, especially in this dialogue, and I'm not sure if it was just my translation specifically, but Dio is talking about how he's concerned with the Joestars due to their unpredictability and like anime protagonists being unpredictable, having an inner strength, having something special about them is a trope that is across the board in tons and tons and tons of anime. But I really liked how Dio acknowledged and broke down the Joestars, what they are, and why he sees them as a threat. And that the translation of what I read was that he wants to eliminate them from his Wheel of Fortune. It's like, even though he knows that he has all of this power, he doesn't want, like, if you imagine all the outcomes for Dio and a giant wheel, like literally eliminating them from his Wheel of Fortune. If Dio spins this wheel, he has so much power, he has so much strength that it's very, very likely going to end on a positive outcome for his future. But even if the Joestars take up the tiniest little sliver on that Wheel of Fortune, or Dio's life, he just can't leave it up to even the tiniest chance that something bad could go wrong for him. So I really like how he justified his obsession with the Joestars, because he really sees them as the absolute only thing that could go wrong for him. And he knows this because he's already been beat by Jonathan, and even though he had all this power and he knew that there wasn't anything that could stand in his way, he was defeated by Jonathan. And it's not like he's just all of a sudden back on top and knows that nothing is standing in his way. He is acknowledging the Joestar bloodline as being a threat to him, and he knows this. So very interesting there. But moving along to the actual episode, the gang is all picked up by this ghost ship, and they're walking around, they don't really know what's going on, and suddenly this crane comes swinging down and just destroys this guy, screws his head up and just pulls him right up there, and he's hanging by this giant hook. Extremely gruesome, also extremely censored, but everybody's just like, what the hell's going on? It's a ghost ship. This shouldn't be happening. Nobody was operating the crane. And Kakyoin investigates the entire ship with the Hierophant Green. And nothing's going on. It's kind of strange. They don't know what the problem is. But there's this orangutan. Or I'm just going to call him a monkey straight up, because they called him a monkey in the episode. But I think he was an orangutan. Locked up in this cage. And the girl's actually the one who discovers him. And it's kind of weird because he's making some strange sounds. But what's even stranger is she hands her this apple, this cut apple. And it's like, wait a minute. There's no way that he could have gotten this. Somebody must be going around and feeding this monkey, because how could he get this freshly cut apple? But then you see him start smoking, and you see him reading a Playboy, and you're like, okay, this is clearly not a regular monkey. There's something going on here. But he's locked up in a cage, so it should all be good. It's weird. Somebody's bringing him this stuff, and he's super smart. Like, what the hell? At the same time, you see that this monkey, he's looking at the girl. It's kind of weird. And, I mean, this is, I guess, justified through this monkey being of the intelligence of reading Playboys. He likes the Playboys. Clearly, he likes women. And clearly, he's way out at the sea and hasn't seen one in God knows how long. So, I guess that's the justification there. But I was also getting really strong sort of King Kong vibes, you know, like the beast falling for the woman or the girl in this case. And a little bit later, the girl decides to take a shower, you know, just all sticky from the salt water when she took her dive earlier. And the door opens up, and there's all the sailors' corpses all over the place, and it's the creepy-ass monkey. And he's getting closer and closer, and it's getting creepier and creepier. And suddenly, Jotaro shows up and just back fists him, I'm pretty sure, across the face, and then chucks the lock at him. So it's like, we know this guy has a lot of powers, but I guess he's just so startled from being caught by Jotaro that it's like he doesn't use the powers immediately, because it takes like 2 good shots before he's like, okay, and he grabs Jotaro by his coat. And then he starts manipulating the ship. There's propellers spinning around, and that's also another awesome part. This propeller goes swinging, stabs right into Jotaro's shoulder, and he doesn't even flinch. He's just like, psh, all right, I see. So you can control parts of the ship or something. Like, what's going on here? And then the propeller smacks him in the face, and he goes flying back. This battle's already awesome, and during this battle, he's realizing that the ship is doing all the moving, and the monkey's just jumping around, and the monkey must have control over the ship. This entire time, the rest of the crew is like being absorbed by the ship and crushed under its weight. Another awesome part about this is the monkey actually has a dictionary that he uses to point out the word strength in it to explain his stand. And this whole time, the narrator's like, I've won! There's nothing you can do! I am so powerful! This is what the monkey is saying! But he's just like gloating. But again, the narrator's speaking for the monkey, which is great. And he's smoking a pipe, he's wearing a captain's uniform, he's solving Rubik's Cubes. Just really crazy stuff. And he knows he's just so powerful, he controls the entire area that they're in, and he just has Jotaro just like, he's against the wall, just holding him in place. And the monkey's gloating, he thinks he's won 100%, but then Jotaro picks off a little pin from his coat and throws it at him. He's like, oh, you don't control that, right? You can only control what's part of the ship. And this pisses off the monkey because he thinks he's already won. He goes in for an attack on Jotaro out of anger, but even though Jotaro can't move his arms, he can point his fingers, and he shoots the star finger at the button that the monkey's holding, knocks the button into his head, and this is like the finishing blow. Essentially, monkey starts giving up. He shows his belly. Apparently that's what animals do when they've given up, and he's begging for his life. And Jotaro's like, oh, you're asking me to forgive you, are you? Well, you've already broken the #1 rule of being an animal, so I guess I'm not going to be able to forgive you. And then, oh no, destroyed. Ship starts breaking apart, and they manage to get off just in time. And yeah, that's pretty much the episode in a nutshell. There's a bit of a setup for the next episode. This is when you also see the reveal of Dio's stand somewhat. But yeah, that's essentially the episode. I guess it's kind of funny to think about with this orangutan of extreme intelligence. So was he just extremely smart for an orangutan, and then he came across the power of the stand, and then somehow came across Dio or Enya? Like, I'm trying to imagine this orangutan actually meeting Dio, or like, not conversing, but you know, having an exchange with Dio or Enya. And did the stand bring out his intelligence, or was it his intelligence that brought out the stand? I'm not sure. It's some interesting questions to think about, considering he's a freaking monkey ship captain of extreme intelligence. There's so many questions you could ask about a character like this, but I really don't think you're going to be getting any. I believe the orangutan's name is Forever, as revealed by the little stand slash user info the second time around. And I also liked how the first time around we got stand user and stand just as complete question marks. That was the first time that had ever happened in an episode, and I thought that was very clever and also extremely accurate because we didn't know who it was at the time. So I guess that's about it for my thoughts on JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stardust Crusaders Episode 7. I will see you in a few days for Episode 8, and holy crap, Anime North is this weekend. I will buy a bunch of stuff and show you what all that stuff is in a couple days. So see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Comment, subscribe, and like. You know I love all that stuff. And I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.